Welcome to the Twisted Pint Tavern. Today we're visiting r/RPG horror stories to learn about Quintessentializer's story, kicked off the table for sacrificing my character to save all the others. This happened about 10 years ago when I was in a rather epic campaign played over the course of about 2.5 years in a persistent setting. The plot: an incredibly powerful Dracolich, imbued with an aspect of an evil god, tried taking over the world with his undead armies. It was my first campaign with these guys, but it was awesome. The GM knew how to capture our hearts and feelings. Amazing roleplay ensued, memorable moments happened, and all. I played a female wizard, the others were mostly martial characters. Due to the nature of our enemy being magical, there was quite a spotlight on my character, as I was the only one really trained in the skills to research this. Also, a few other predicaments happened that I was able to solve with unforeseen use of my magical spells, which might have made a few of the other players feel uncomfortable. Now, during the campaign, over the course of 2.5 years real time, we forged alliances and weapons to use in the climactic battle against our enemy and his undead hordes, while also researching his origins and bond to the god. While doing the latter, it turned out that in all likelihood, his link to the god was so strong, he may just turn out to be completely invulnerable, and all of our combined efforts to defeat him might be doomed. Our research was not entirely conclusive, but it might be possible to cut the link with the evil god before the battle, by transferring it upon yourself. However, that would involve making a pact with the evil god and selling your eternal soul, which of course was out of the question for pretty much all the god-fearing characters. That is, all except my wizard. But I was unable to tell my comrades about my plans, as they would have surely slain my character on the spot for even thinking about it. So I talked with the GM in private, and he was thrilled by the idea, ran a solo session in secret with me about forging a pact with the evil god, and I prepared some sequestered spells for use during the battle. The day of the battle came, and armies of tens of thousands came together to defeat the Dracolich and his armies. During the epic battle with the hordes, our enemy made his appearance, and with valiant effort, we were able to bring it down to the ground, but we were not actually dealing any kind of significant damage to it. That was when my wizard invoked the pact she made the night before to take the aspect of the demon upon herself. Just gotta say, real quick, I'm loving the story and the roleplay so far. I mean, there's so much potential with your connection with this evil god, and the fact that the DM was so for it just seems like you have a good thing going so far. It worked. The aspect was transferred to my character in a literal light show of special effects, and almost as expected, all my former friends turned around and targeted my character with their strongest attacks. That is when she invoked the sequestered spells prepared beforehand, hiding behind a force wall and teleporting to safety, the evil god's aspect still inside of her. The Dracolich and his armies fell swiftly after that, but the former friends of my character swore revenge on her for betraying them. All in all, amazing campaign, and in the end, the hero saved the day, and my old character, now a possible future antagonist, surely soon to be overpowered by the god's influence, ruled over newly resurrected undead somewhere far away. The end? So next we were about to start a new campaign. I rolled up a new character, a roguish non-spellcaster this time, as I didn't want to be the focus yet again. When we met for the first session of the new campaign, the other players gathered and let me know that they decided I will no longer be part of this group, nor any other group any of them played in. The reason being, I'd shown my true colors by forging a pact with their enemy, so they would never be able to trust any character I played anymore. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. It was the players that said this, not the GM, and also, they can't trust you or any of your characters because of something one of your characters did in a roleplay scenario? How does that track? Furthermore, I was informed that they decided to remove my old character from the history of the campaign world and retcon that their old characters defeated the Dracolich on their own terms. The GM later told me in private that he was outvoted by other players and that he really loved what I did. In fact, it would never have been possible for all of our combined efforts to take the dragon down had I not done this. There were originally other ways to defeat our enemy, but we did not go that route for various reasons. But the other players were too adamant in their position and he didn't want to lose his group. So joining the others and kicking me out was the way of least resistance. I hate this, I hate that, that's horrible. We're almost done, but that's horrible. I was pretty devastated at that time, as the roleplay and interaction I had with this group was so amazing, but I got over it eventually. So in the end, my character saved everybody by pretty much turning herself to the dark side, and I got booted from one of my favorite groups for it. It's just heartbreaking. I mean, it's such a cool story, and you did so well in it. You roleplayed fantastically. You presented the opportunity for an entire other arc or an entire other campaign themed around your old character being the villain. That is the prime setup for another fantastic game. And this group, because you roleplayed your character well and it went against their characters, they decided that meant you were out? How does that follow? How does that have the logic to it? It's not like you betrayed them in person. Let's go to some of the comments and see what these people think. I can understand them no longer trusting your character for taking such a surreptitious course of action, but why they decided to transfer that mistrust to you eludes me. I mean, I personally don't enjoy running side sessions for individual players away from the group, and I sort of understand that they were probably totally blindsided in character, but kicking you out of the group seems like quite the overreaction. Actually, I'd have assumed that their apparently highly religious characters would have been all for your plan to sacrifice yourself to this dark power as a means of saving them and the world too, I guess. If they were willing to kill your character to prevent that from happening, then I say they sort of deserve to be defeated by the bad guys at that point. Clearly, you had a greater sense of practicality than they did. So I kinda disagree when you said that the characters being holy would thus be okay with this sacrifice because it was to an evil god. So I see that internal conflict, but I'm completely with you in the fact that it should have stayed within the game. It's roleplay, it's a game. You didn't betray them in real life. Sure, you did a session with the GM one-on-one. I do that all the time when my characters have small things that they need to do that's just them. So being blindsided in character and at the table can be fun sometimes. And even if they didn't like that, so be it, leave it at the game. Let me offer a possible alternative perspective from the players. They were ready for an epic battle and conclusion, only to find nothing they did in it mattered. One player secretly arranged to solo solve the entire campaign, and also to automatically cast a bunch of spells instantly that they have no way to counter, so they can't even engage with that character. No one else ever had any chance of victory. The wizard wins the fight, no one else gets to do anything meaningful, nothing anyone else did mattered. Because this was all arranged in secret, and for Gone was basically no point to the other players to even be there. Their characters are all overshadowed and pointless because the wizard player and DM would just end the campaign in a private session with no one else's input, giving a scripted cutscene instead of a final battle. I'm being dramatic in how I framed this. I don't think this was your intent to cause these feelings, but I do think this seems like a plausible perspective the other players may have had about the experience. And then Godot12's reply is, yeah, but if you should be mad at anyone for this, it should be the DM. The DM is the one that set this up. So I can see what you're saying about the characters and other players feeling like all of a sudden what they do doesn't matter anymore. I get if that's how they felt, but that's not how they framed it. That's not what they said. And also, that doesn't really matter because there wasn't anything they could do, apparently. I'm guessing by what this sounded like, that wasn't going to necessarily be the end of it. They just weren't going to be able to defeat the Dracolich. This character making the sacrifice made that a possibility. Yes, that kind of puts them in the spotlight that they've supposedly been in for the entire campaign as a magic user, but no other character, no other player was willing to go that route. So do I think the DM could have structured it in a way that allowed everybody to be in the spotlight and play that quintessential role in defeating the enemy? Yes, I do believe that. I think the DM could have done that better. However, this player is not at fault, and I can't overly blame the DM either, seeing as it sounds like they had a bunch of other options that everyone else had completely ignored and decided wasn't worth pursuing, and this one character had a really cool way to close this all up and move on to the next game while also presenting a story reason for having one of the characters be the villain in said next arc. So yeah, I see some penalties to this. I see some downsides to this and the other characters' perspective, the other players' perspectives, but that should have stayed at the game, should have stayed in the game, and any issues they had with how that was handled could have been aired out instead of just, you betrayed us in the game, so we can't trust you anymore. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't follow at all. So I'm completely on the side of Quintessentializer. I think that they were not in the wrong. I think that they had a cool way to bring this in, and honestly, I think that the other characters missed their opportunity to be as involved in the end because while yes, they made this deal with this evil god, the other characters could have gone and asked the DM if there was something they could do in a mini session or whatever to study this or find an item or anything like that. Every one of those players had the opportunity to do what Quintessentializer did, and they chose not to. And so I can't punish them for pursuing that avenue. Anyway, don't click off the video yet, we're not done yet, because I have my Discord server announcement that you want to listen to. In the Twisted Pint Tavern Discord server, we have a looking for group section, we have story submissions where future videos will be fueled from, and there's all kinds of game talk, character building, and DM tips behind the screen, plus a lot more. So if you want to join the community of tavern goers at the Twisted Pint Tavern, click the Discord link in the description and join the server. I look forward to seeing you there. And now, anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already, and click the bell to become notified of all of our future uploads. Also, if any of you tavern patrons decide that you're gonna make a deal with some evil entity and become the avatar of some, like, evil god, well, I've been sneaking holy water into the ale for a while now, so good luck with that indigestion.